Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Ismono podcast. And today I have a returning guest to this podcast. It is Odie. I'm not sure, do you say your last name as well, or do you just call yourself Odie?
I think I usually just call myself Odie. I think most people just call me Odie.
All
it's
right.
not a very common name.
No, it's not actually. It's not a short for anything, right?
No.
That's funny. All right. So for those of you, I don't know. You have been on my podcast, I think, twice or three times already. So
yeah.
But let's do it like always. Let's imagine people don't know you. Can you do a quick introduction to yourself?
I am Odie Matthews. You might recognize me from the bag review world on my YouTube channel that is retired now. You might also recognize me as the voice of Magnum Nopus on my new YouTube channel. More than always happy to be here and talk to you, Bo.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. And actually, I just want to go straight into it because you segued me into my first question quite well. You just said you switched to a new channel, right? Can you tell us a little bit why you switched? I mean, we already talked about it, but people don't know it yet. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
So this will be the first time publicly I've even talked about this, because the only people I've talked to about it, it's been behind closed doors.
Yeah.
So, because I never said anything on my YouTube channel, I kind of just let it drift into the sun, just sent it away in the sunset. But no, it's a great question. I was on YouTube reviewing gear for a little over 4 years. And when I started out, I told myself that the moment I felt like my heart wasn't really in it anymore, the moment that it became more of a chore than it became enjoyable, I would kind of reevaluate if that was really what I wanted to do. Sure. And I worked on that Wandered Provoke video for a while. It was like 2 months of work, and it really shouldn't have been 2 months of work. That should have been a pretty easy video to pump out. And I think it was during that process that I just kind of realized that I wanted to pivot to something that my heart was more into. And I was doing more of a disservice to anybody that was looking for gear, because I wasn't really giving a full breakdown anymore. I was kind of half-assing it for sure.
Okay.
So
yeah, I can totally relate to this feeling of it suddenly becoming somewhat of a chore, or somewhat of a, for the lack of a better term, 9 to 5, so to say. I totally can relate. I mean, for me, it was this pivoting to this kind of, let's say, vloggy style, just to challenge myself a little bit. But I can totally see or totally relate to why you wanted to switch, which is also the reason why I made the second channel, just to dabble a little bit around new content. And can you tell us a little bit about the new? Help me a little bit to segue into my other questions. Can you tell me a little bit
new channel
about the new channel, and especially the name? How did you come to that name, and what's your goal for that channel?
Yeah, that's okay. So the name Magnum Nopus. So in film and like movies and everything, sometimes people will refer to a director or an actor's like magnum opus, like their best piece of cinema. Well, Magnum Nopus, the name, actually comes from my partner Nate, because when I told them that I wanted to start this channel, I was like, man, I need a good name. And they're the ones that suggested Magnum Nopus, because this channel is all about looking at either forgotten movies or movies that people are like, oh, that movie's awful. And we look at it to see if maybe there's any redeeming qualities that make it worth watching. So it's all the worst things of cinema. So the Magnum Nopus, if you will.
That's a perfect segue to my question. But just to let anyone know listening or watching to this podcast, don't worry. We will also talk a little bit about bags, but now we talk about movies. So don't switch off if you're all about bags. So I want to talk to you about, and this is something that I'm having a hard time to kind of pinpoint. So if we are talking about bad movies, in air quotes, what are your criterias When is a movie so bad that it has become good? Because I have a couple of movies where I think, oh, that is terrible, but I love to watch it.
Yes.
You know? What are your
Yeah.
criteria for a movie that is bad but has become good?
So I love this question because my ranking system for my channel, the movies either fall into one of two categories. They're either just plain garbage or so bad they're good. And I think what makes a movie so bad it's good is when it almost knows that what it's doing is stupid. And my favorite example and my favorite so bad it's good movie is the movie The Meg. The Meg is at its core a dumb movie. But the movie knows that Jason Statham fighting a shark is stupid and it leans into it. So it becomes so bad it's good. For me, at least.
I get a little bit triggered because I think it's a good movie and it doesn't. It's still good. It's not bad. I fight you for it. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get you. If it has this kind of, let's say, eye wink moment,
Yes.
that we know
Yeah.
that. It's kind of like Sharknado. I've never watched Sharknado, but I assume that it knows that it's terrible and it's leaning into it.
Very much so.
I didn't
Very
watch
much
it
so.
yet.
I've seen the first Sharknado. It's it's a movie. It exists. It's real. It's exactly what you think it is. But yeah.
You know why I have such a hard time to kind of pinpoint? I think what you just said is it's the most important criteria for this kind of category. It's so bad that it's good. But the movie that made me kind of think about why do I like this, although it is stupid, is the Fast and Furious series. It is stupid, but I like it. But
Very much so.
I would argue quite a lot seeing some behind the scenes of Vin Diesel. I'm not sure that he's aware of the fact that those movies are terrible. So
No,
that
he
is
is
why,
not.
that is why I have been discussing with myself, okay, why is this movie so terrible, but why do I still like it? And I talked about it in singular because in essence to me all the movies are the same, so I don't really consider them as serious. I could just consider them it's one movie to me. So I'm having a hard time. What are your thoughts about the Fast and Furious? I know that you binge watched all of them, so I would love, and I watched your review about this. I just want to kind of go into it again. What do you think about them now?
Yeah. Oh man. I watched all 10 because I didn't watch the spin-off movie. In 54 hours, I watched 10 Fast and Furious movies back to back. I watched like 5 in one day. And that was going to be the starting off point for my new channel. I was going to start with this gigantic, like 3-part released at once breakdown of the Fast and Furious movies. And by the end of the 10th one, my mind was so broken and damaged that I couldn't bring myself to do it. I think those movies are so bad it's good because especially when you watch them back to back, they just get more ridiculous.
Yeah.
They never slow down. And I think you're right. I think Vin Diesel thinks that everyone thinks that they're like really good and like well thought out movies, but that's not why people watch those movies at all.
It's just a lot of, let's say, adrenaline eye candy.
It's definitely a testosterone filled thrill ride.
Yeah, that's a good description. Speaking of, what's your favorite bad movie then? Well,
like just bad movie?
Let's make it a 2-part question. What do you think is a bad movie where that still is in your mind, but it's bad? And what is your favorite bad movie that it's good?
Bad movie. I've watched a lot of bad movies recently. The one that like most recently I think just made me angry was Monster Hunter. I
It made you angry.
Yeah, because it was so bad. I remember when I watched that movie just waiting for something good to happen, and then it just ended. And I made a video about it.
Yeah.
And the movie ends where it feels like it should be just like starting to pick up. And it's just I remember just watching that and just really thinking this is a very low budget, sold as one thing and is something completely else movie.
So a little bit missed opportunity feeling in the end, or
yeah, it was one of those movies that came out in 2020 despite of COVID. Like in the US, when even though we were under lockdown, like movies were still being released kind of. And all the marketing showed it as the US military versus a bunch of monsters. And spoiler alert for this 2020 movie that nobody should watch. Within like the first 20 minutes, everybody in the military is killed, and it becomes like a completely different movie than what the marketing showed. And I just,
But I mean, that's the difficult thing about most video game adaptations, right? I mean, considering, as far as I know, Monster Hunter is a very popular franchise in the Nintendo world. So, Phil, now that I think of it, is there any good video game adaptation that is good? Not sure. Is there any?
I like the Sonic movie. Does that count?
I didn't watch it yet. Oh, speaking of Street Fighter, with Jean-Claude Van Damme, it's so bad that it's good.
That's another good one. Mortal Kombat 1. I was going to say Mortal Kombat 1, but not the second one. The second one is just a bad movie.
Yeah, it's terrible.
There's another bad movie.
The second one was Annihilation, right? Or is that the third one? Yeah.
I think Annihilation. Yeah. But to answer your second question, my favorite so bad it's good movie, I think would have to probably be now the Meg 2, The Trench.
Yeah.
That movie is so stupid.
Yeah,
and I love it.
And yeah, it's really stupid. That's true. Which one was it? Is it the one where there are a lot of Megs, right?
Yeah, there's 3 Megs and the octopus thing. Yeah, and it ends with Jason Statham exploding Megs on a Sea-Doo and also stabbing one with a helicopter blade. And there's
but truth to be told, in my eyes, Jason Statham cannot fail. I
love that. I love him. Absolutely.
Did you watch The Beekeeper yet?
Oh yeah, that was the first movie I watched this year, actually.
And what do you think about it?
Oh, I loved it. I love the part where he throws the jar of honey at the lady's head. and then knocks her off the minigun so he can shoot her and then lights her on fire.
It's such entertaining. And for everyone, don't worry, you cannot. I feel like you can't spoil any Jason Statham movie because in the end, it's basically more or less everything that's happening is to be expected, and you watch it for let's say in air quotes and huge air quotes the characters,
the action,
and the action.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the Meg 2, that's your favorite bad movie, huh?
Probably right now. That's the most recent one that comes to mind. Yeah.
So what do you have like a schedule planned out for your YouTube channel of movies that you want to watch? Because I feel that you have a big back catalog of movies that you could cover. Do you only want to cover movies that are, let's say, very current, so maybe from the last 24 months, from whenever you post a video, or do you look at everything that is available to you?
So I'm looking at everything that's available because I feel like there are some forgotten gems of the early 2000s.
Exactly.
But so I have a ongoing document of all the movies that I eventually want to make a video on.
Okay.
And that list is probably up to like 50 something movies at this point. I have mapped out, when I started a couple months ago, I kind of mapped every video for every weekend all the way through September, just to kind of have an idea of what to kind of work on and what to watch. And it was also, I kind of wanted to line up with some of the big movies that are coming out. So like Bad Boys 4 is coming out. So I'm working on a Bad Boys video covering the Bad Boys videos or movies. So things like that.
I really like that you also like kind of schedule out what you want to watch, because what I'm currently, and I'm saying very intentionally, suffering from is distraction. I always sometimes switch on a movie, or I intentionally do not watch new movies to just have some noise, and then I notice myself grabbing to either my retro gaming handheld or my phone, and then just forgetting what's going on the TV, what I intentionally put on. And I feel like that what you're doing gives you a reason not to get distracted. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk us through what's your work thought process like? Do you watch it through alone, or do you watch it with your fingers at the play pause button and then take notes, or do you take notes afterwards because you're watching with someone else, or how does it work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have my laptop with a Google Doc with the name of what the video is going to be, because I kind of plan all those out ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then as I'm watching the movie and things happen, I write them down. And usually I'll end up with anywhere from like 6 to 8 pages of just little like one sentence notes. Not like in depth, just be like, I'm the one that I remember most recently in the first Bad Boys movie. There's this ongoing joke, if you will, about how Martin Lawrence's character doesn't get any quality time with his wife. And I just remember by like the like 5th joke in the movie, I just wrote, maybe his penis doesn't work. So like, just like little notes, just little thoughts, just, and then I'll work those into my script, because I watch the movie. So you make a script
afterwards?
Oh yeah. So watch the movie, take the notes. That's step 1. And then usually I read over the notes a couple times, and then I'll sit down, and the way I write my scripts, I'm not sure if this is a normal process, but what I'll do is I'll know there's like certain points, certain things in the movie I want to talk about. And so I'll just write those points out, and then I just kind of bridge them all together. So I'll kind of like write out everything I want to talk about, and then find a way to make them connect smoothly in order.
That's cool.
And then once the script is written, sit in this wonderful small closet that I've been downgraded to, and record the audio, and then it's just normal editing schedule from there, pretty much. Yeah.
But that's cool. That's a really cool way to work with it. But do you watch all of those movies alone then?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch these movies with me. I don't blame them,
Yeah, I can kind of understand that. Although I can't understand it with the Meg. Who doesn't want to watch the Meg though?
That's what I'm saying. I do love that movie. Unironically, I do love that movie.
Same. I watched it 3 times already. So I watched it once in an airplane, and then I watched a couple of times at home. I actually paid for it once. So, yeah, I like that movie.
I covered it on the channel. It was one of the first videos I did.
I know.
It's still my favorite. I love it.
How did you, do you have like a couple of those, what's it called? Cartoon avatars of yourself? Do you have like a couple of them in expressions? Or do you always kind of order, I need that expression now, and then you kind of go in front of the mirror and then you make that expression and then you send it over to your graphics artist? Or how do you do that?
So I have, I think, like 13 of my little avatar, my little avatar person guy, doing a bunch of different expressions, which was
that's cool.
Kind of one of the ways there's a lot of people, and you and I had this conversation before, there's a lot of people that do movie related content on YouTube. So you have to stand out in some way in order to get some kind of traction. So that's why I specifically chose looking at, bad movies. But then also on top of that, I figured having a little avatar guy to help express and emote was a good choice. And funny enough,
it's a good idea.
What makes it super easy is my partner, Nate, is my graphic design artist. So whenever I need a new avatar face, they just take a picture of me
Oh, that makes it very
and
easy.
sketch it up for me.
Cool.
They do all my thumbnails, and they do all of my avatars. So they are my artist in a huge way. So
That's amazing. What are your future goals for this channel then?
Oh man.
Is it something that you aspire to have as a main job, or would you always now that you have experienced it with the back channel, would you rather have it to be something that is more in line of passion project so it doesn't become a chore, or do you have ambitions to make it big and then ditch your main job?
You know, it's funny because when I did the bag channel, there was never a moment when I was working on any of those videos where I thought, oh, this could be my full-time job. There was never a moment where I thought that would ever be something that would come for me with that. With this one, I would absolutely love for this to be my full-time job. And honestly, if it was, I would probably do more videos and do a lot more, because working on this stuff is my favorite thing. It consumes a lot of my time because I have to balance, everything else that being a responsible adult comes with.
Of course.
It is something that I would personally love to see. I would love to see how far I could take this into the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions if I'm lucky. Who knows?
Where are you at the moment?
Let's see, shall we? I haven't checked today yet. Currently, I am at 529, and I started
That's
about
cool.
3.5 months ago.
Yeah, but
So
your views are much higher than. That's what I know. Your views are amazing considering the subscriber number.
Yeah, I've been really, really lucky. What I think makes this so much easier in terms of growth is, for one, shout out to Aaron from Nomads Nation, because that man sat down with me for about an hour about SEO and how he got his channel to grow so fast, because Nomads Nation has taken off.
Yeah, exactly.
And so not only was I able to kind of apply those tricks and techniques that he taught me, but YouTube Shorts seem to be the easiest way to grow. And my content is really easy to clip out in 30 to 60-second portions to use as YouTube Shorts. So it requires zero extra effort on my part to turn them into YouTube Shorts. It takes me 5 minutes to cut one out and then recrop it and resize the avatar. I'm really lucky that I can do 7 shorts a week. So one a day on top of having a video out every Friday. Just got lucky, I guess.
That's amazing. And I think with the niche, let's go, or the topic that you are in with that channel, you have a lot of opportunities for sponsorships, because you aren't limited to, in the back world, you are limited to specific products. And I feel like movie categories can basically advertise anything from a popcorn maker to, I don't know,
car insurance,
a VPN. Everything is possible.
Yeah.
So
real.
I think it is very possible to make it a living in the future.
Hopefully. I mean, if I'm lucky, I know that's something that a lot of people obviously set out to do on YouTube, make a living off of it, and not everyone is successful. So, but
and there's a lot of competition in that niche as well.
Yeah, and that's why I think I've been keeping my goals very reasonable in terms of what to expect from this channel in the immediate. And
makes sense.
I do enjoy it so much that even if it never reaches that height of being able to make a living off of it, it's still something that I really enjoy. And a majority of the feedback I've gotten has been positive. Of course, I've gotten 1 or 2 trolls.
But that's
as you do. Yeah, exactly. That's YouTube, that's TikTok for you. So having mostly positive feedback and everything, I'm just happy I'm happy I'm able to do something now that my heart is truly in, because I've always been passionate about movies. So
That's pretty cool. But I mean, with those kind of movies, you probably won't be able to go to the cinemas. I mean, there aren't that
Yeah.
many. But, I mean, they are,
I
but probably not that really classify as the ones that you would review on your channel.
I will do what I call on my channel Magnum Minis. And I did one for Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire.
Okay.
Because that movie was, you know, I mean, it's a giant monkey and a giant lizard fighting another giant monkey and another giant lizard. Like, that falls into my category enough that I went and did a 5-minute review on it. The movie Twisters is coming out. And I will do because that falls natural disaster movies like tornadoes and earthquakes and stuff.
Yeah.
That falls into my category. So there will be some in the theaters that I will do like mini reviews on, but for the most part, 95% of what I talk about will definitely be. I'm trying to go movies that are pre 2016 for the most part, if I can.
Well, I'm looking forward to see. Once you get to the 90s and 80s, I think that's going to be really fun.
Yeah, there's some on my list from the 80s, and Bad Boys 1 is now my oldest movie I've covered at 1995, so that's exciting.
But, I mean, you could also kind of review, in air quotes, good movies, or maybe not good, it's good movie, but let's say mainstream favorites and look at it from a modern perspective, like Home Alone.
Okay, yeah.
You know, that movie is a kid's favorite, but it's somewhat ridiculous. And I mean, that's just an example. I saw a somewhat review about how Kevin actually should have killed a lot of people.
He definitely murdered those men. They're dead for sure.
So looking at it from that kind of angle could be also interesting.
Yeah, I've thought about that, and that's something that I would like to do if I grew enough to have the bandwidth. I would like to have like an additional series on my channel. I'd like to have like multiple little series of things so I can kind of dabble wherever I want.
Or for instance, now that they do a second part, Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
the first one.
I thought about doing the first one for when the second one comes out. It's on my list.
Did you know that they had a cartoon of that? That thing scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. I was like, okay, let's watch Beetlejuice. That movie alone was scary as fuck. And then I watched the cartoon series, and I was so scared as a kid, and I did not get how they actually did that for kids. I don't know.
Hilarious.
Have you been aware of the fact that Beetlejuice there was a kids cartoon series?
I actually haven't even seen the first Beetlejuice yet.
It's scary. Man, get yourself into the mindset of a kid and then watch that movie. It's scary.
I think I saw somebody was talking about how every kid's movie from like the 80s and 90s is just a bunch of tragic things happening to that kid, like parents dying, being abandoned, like all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, movies like My Girl, for instance. Macaulay Culkin. Okay, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen this 80s movie. Macaulay Culkin.
Movie.
Yeah, the protagonist of that movie dies at the end, and that's more. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a kids' movie, but I watched it and I was shocked that the kid is suddenly dying. And that was. I don't know. Kids' movies of the 80s kind of messed me up. Now that I think of it. But there were a lot of good ones as well. No, they're not good. Well, Mighty Ducks. Did you ever see Mighty Ducks?
Yeah, Mighty Ducks is a good one.
Not sure if it's good. I'm not sure if it's good. It was okay.
Yeah, it passes, I guess.
So, but going to good movies, what's your favorite movie of let's say, the last 12 months? Anything spectacular that has stuck with you?
Last 12 months. That'd be like last summer. Dune Part 2 definitely stands out to me.
Really?
really enjoyed. For one, I love that director, and the cinematographer is Greg
Danny
Fraser.
Villeneuve.
Danny Villeneuve is the director.
Yeah,
Greg Fraser is the cinematographer, and
Yeah.
he's a legend. I love that
exactly.
man. Incredible.
But did you like it more than Dune 1? I think Dune 1
I-
was much better in my humble opinion.
I actually enjoyed Dune 2 a little more just because there was a little bit more combat, and I really like the combat of the Dune universe. So I enjoyed it a little bit more. The other movie that stands out to me personally is the movie that I won't shut up about, The Creator from last year.
Yeah, that's good.
I funny enough, my co-host on my podcast, Kevin, he didn't like that movie. He was like, I didn't think it was very good. I thought it looked good, but I didn't think it was. And we've argued about it for months. And I still think that movie, the plot, the special effects, the directing, all of it is just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it as well. It's a really good movie, and it's to some degree also really refreshing.
Yeah. 100%.
Has a couple of takes of the sci-fi genre that I personally haven't seen either in a while or haven't seen at all. So really like that movie. Yeah, it's a good pick.
Those two for sure.
All right. Anything that you're looking for this year?
Yeah, I am weirdly excited for the movie Twisters. I don't know why, but for some reason
I saw the trailer last week for the first time. I think it's a cool trailer.
it makes it look so much better than it probably is going to be. But where I grew up here in the US, and I grew up in Indiana,
Yeah.
and we used to get tornadoes all the time when I was a kid. So tornado movies have a very special place in my heart because I find them so interesting.
I can relate.
Yeah.
Because, the 80s movies, Twister, that was shot in Oklahoma. And if you don't know, I was living in Oklahoma for a year. And I was kind of afraid going to Oklahoma and knowing of that movie that, holy crap, I hope I never get to experience a Twister. So,
and did you?
relate.
Or did you?
No,
look
fortunately
out?
not. Fortunately not.
Unfortunate for you. You should have seen one. They're cool.
Yeah, if they don't hit the place where you're living. But you know what I do not understand? Maybe I'm not sure. That's somewhat of a history question. Why is it that in Oklahoma or in probably I assume in Idaho as well, in Germany all houses are built with stone, with bricks? Why are there so many houses in Oklahoma where Twister and tornadoes are very common? Why don't you build with bricks?
That's a great question. And I think it comes down to greedy land developers.
Oh, okay.
and greedy construction companies that use cheap material to build houses for cheap.
That's something I never understood. I mean, we have concrete, bricks, steel here in Germany for all our housing. And then you go to Oklahoma, at least back then, I'm not sure how it is now, but back then everything is made out of wood. And then if you're unlucky, you have termites. If you're really unlucky, you have a tornado. So I'm confused.
Yeah. I mean, it was the same. I spent half my childhood in Indiana and the other half in Florida where there's hurricanes.
Oh, yeah.
And they build houses. Right? Yeah. They don't really build them to be hurricane proof for some reason. They do in some areas, but just on the whole, they don't, which is weird.
And especially, I'm not sure if it's actually cheaper. I'm not sure. I question if building a house out of wood is actually cheaper than just using bricks. I'm not sure. I've never built a house, so I don't know.
Me either.
But in my mind, I'm not sure if it's actually cheaper or if there's a benefit, a cost benefit to be honest. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally derailed the conversation now with, with how to build a house.
101. That's our next podcast.
So let's go to a little bit to bags and move away a little bit from movies. Now that you do not review bags at the moment, has your loadout or the way you use a bag changed a little bit? Meaning, for example, as a reviewer, I tend to pack modular because I have to switch bags a lot. I've never used or utilized an admin panel that much. Now that you do not review that many bags and do not have to switch bags that often, did you notice that your packing style changed?
That is a good question. Yes, it did actually, quite a bit, because I used to be the same way where everything I did was based around pouches and I had a pouch for everything. Most of my use came from going to the office, going to the gym, going to the store, things like that. But now I really only take a bag with me to work because I don't really need to take a bag to all those other places. I just did because, I was testing it out.
Yeah.
Now I pretty much only use messenger bags for work because all I really take with me, my personal laptop, a notebook, a couple extra pencils, some loose charging cables because I have power bricks at my desk, and then, usually like AirPod Pros, and that's about it. I don't.
Do you go by car, or do you use public? Oh, okay.
By car.
Yeah, that makes also a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel if you have to walk a lot, people, or at least I don't like to use a messenger because it gets very heavy on one shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your current messenger now? What do you use?
Well, I've been kind of.
I don't see a messenger.
Off. No, I think I have it out at the front door for when I actually go to work. But I've been using the Alpaca. I think it's called the Alpaca Tech Brief, because my personal laptop is only 15 inches, and that one that I got from them is 17. It's got that nice X-Pack material. It's got those bulky YKK zippers with the weather guard. It's got that Alpaca is great for that really padded shoulder strap.
Yeah.
And it's only really going from my apartment to my car and my car to my office. So.
But do you always have to carry two laptops then? That sounds like a lot.
So luckily with my regular job, my position, I bring my work or my personal laptop because I also do a lot of video editing for my job because we do, being in charge of marketing, we do video ads and things like that. My work laptop stays on my desk at my office. It does not come home with me. But
what do you need the work laptop for then?
Email mainly.
But can't you do that on your personal laptop, or is it allowed?
I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want my. I get too many emails. This morning already, I think I'm at 72, coming off of the weekend and this morning. So I don't want my phone and my personal laptop dinging with Gmail. Yeah,
that makes sense. But you don't have to carry that laptop anywhere else besides your office.
And since I don't have to do that, I just don't really use a much bigger bag. The ones that when I do need a backpack for hiking or when we do weekend trips, I still am a huge fan of the Mission Workshop Rake, which is right behind me. Bag. One of my favorites. My go-to camera bag is still the Wandered Provoke. Just still can't get enough of that bag.
But speaking of Wandered Provoke, are you ditching all of your camera gear now?
Yes and no. I kept some stuff for sure. I don't really know what the future holds in terms of being behind a camera for me.
Yeah.
I would definitely still like to there's some projects I would like to do, but they're on a bigger scale than just YouTube. So I don't think I would be behind the camera for those. And the question I get quite frequently from friends and people on the internet is, are you going to come back to doing reviews? Where are you? And I gotta be honest, I don't see myself doing it again. so I don't really need a camera for that either. So right now I'm just sitting on a Pocket 3 and my drone, and
Yeah.
I haven't touched either of them in 3 months.
Oh,
So
so you already sold the bigger cameras then?
yeah, I did. I sold my
Okay.
my cinema camera and my Sony actually.
Okay, but
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
yeah, it's better than it gathering dust, and I think the Pocket 3 is a very capable
Yeah.
choice instead of having those bigger cameras laying around and not being used. So good on you that you already sold all of that stuff.
Yeah, just kind of felt right.
I like that. I like that you approach it that way from, okay, what makes sense and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So good idea to have sold that.
It's the same reason I actually downgraded my bags as well. I was sitting on dozens, and now
Yeah.
I think by the end of it all, I think I kept about 7 or 8, and the rest are gone.
It's good. It's good. It's
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really good that you kind of minimalized. Can you say
Minimalized?
that?
I think
Minimalized.
we're gonna say it. I think
Minimized.
it works. Minimized. That might be better. That might be right.
Minimize all of your inventory. That's a good idea. And but you still have a couple of them I see in the background. But I guess
Yeah.
you use it. Although
Kept my favorites.
I think you could decide between the Nomadic and the Wanderer. Maybe you could get rid of the Nomadic.
Yeah,
That's a Peter McKinnon,
probably,
right?
Yeah, and look, I haven't been exactly secretive about my love-hate relationship with Nomadic. I don't intend on keeping that. I just don't know what to do with it yet.
Yeah. Anything new in terms of what's in your pockets over the? Because I feel you probably, now that you stopped reviewing those kind of items, I feel you probably honed down to a specific set. I would really love to know, did you hone down to a specific EDC set now for yourself? Like, do you still carry a multi-tool, or are you now a civilian and you don't carry a multi-tool?
I'm no longer a gear reviewer. I had to turn in my multi-tool at the door. They made me give it back.
And your badge as well, right? For those of you who don't know, all we reviewers, we have like a bag reviewers EDC badge.
Yeah, we don't know who sends it to us. It just shows up one day. Yeah, I zeroed it in pretty quickly. Like it's kind of crazy how, because of the way that that last video I did, the Wanted Provoke, came out, I really wasn't testing anything for a couple weeks. So I started to make this shift before I even realized it.
Yeah.
For my EDC now, it's my AirPod Pros, because I always like to have a pair of headphones.
Same.
My sunglasses, because I always carry sunglasses.
Ray-Ban? You're probably a Ray-Ban guy, right?
They are Ray-Bans.
I knew it.
Of course. I have a small, I don't know what the brand is, but I can get them at Target. They're like small notebooks, very like field note size.
Interesting.
So I carry one of those everywhere I go, and that's mainly sometimes I'll be sitting at my desk at work, and I'll be doing something for work, and I'll be like, that's a great line for my video. And I pull out my notebook, and I'm like, remember to say this thing. This will be a funny joke in the future. And then I have used, and I don't know if you've tested them, but the Peak Design wallet.
Oh,
have you seen these for their phone cases?
Not yet. Yeah, I'm an Android user, so I don't have MagSafe on my phone.
So the case is what does the MagSafe, because my partner Nate and I have, they also have the case and wallet. And so I usually keep this in my messenger bag, but it also acts as a phone stand. So you can prop your phone up.
But hold on, I thought MagSafe is in the iPhone.
Oh, wait, you're right. It's not MagSafe. It's whatever that technology is, though. The magnetic. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But so I usually keep this in my messenger bag, and then at work I prop my phone up, and that's how I play my music.
Yeah.
So that usually is in my EDC loadout. My car keys, which I'm still rocking the Orbit key what are they called?
It's
The thing that
orbit key.
orbit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
the
the
orbit
orbit
key.
key, right?
Yeah, the orbit key.
But isn't your car key like huge?
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but I like the fact that all of my office key, my home key, my mail key, it's all.
Oh,
and they gave me the Millennium Falcon one, so.
So it's your car key is kind of attached to the orbit key. Oh, okay. Now I understand. Yeah,
It's like its keychain, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, for like an everyday going to the office loadout, besides my little packed travel coffee mug, that is it. That is all I bring with me nowadays.
You heard it first. Odie has become civilian. He's not in the EDC crowd anymore. He's gone mainstream. Okay. Yeah. Cancel him now.
It's a good thing I already retired from my channel. I don't get the backlash.
So no knife, no multi-tool.
Nope. I used to carry a multi-tool. I also used to carry like a lot more TSA friendly tools because I used to travel a lot more too.
Of course.
I used to bring more for like writing, more for like creative work, but now I just I used to bring like power banks with me all the time, but because when I was freelance, I would go to like coffee shops and everything like that. So, but no, I am not only do I not review bags, now I work a regular job too. Yeah. So.
It's interesting that your mindset has kind of switched after retiring the channel. That's interesting. It's really interesting. I always wondered if that would happen because obviously as a reviewer, I sometimes ask myself if how I pack is actually how other people would pack. But on the other hand, I argue that, okay, the way I pack is kind of, if you can do it this way, then a regular person has plenty of options to do it differently. So it's interesting to hear that you actually kind of switched your mindset around a little bit.
For EDC, for travel, nothing has changed. I still pack exactly the same way I've always packed for travel. Very organized packing cubes, all the tech gear I could ever need with all the chargers and dongles, the wash kit with everything I could ever need. Like I still pack the same for travel. That'll never change.
Yeah, of course.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. Do you have any questions before I let you go to work? Because for those all of you people, Odie actually woke up early before he goes to work to join this podcast. So I don't want to occupy too much of your time before you go to work.
Well, sure. I guess best question for you right now, because always want to know, speaking of reviews, is there anything that you've been using and testing right now that's sticking out to you, whether you've talked about it already or yet to come, that maybe has got you excited?
Yeah, actually, the GoRock, I finally got my hands on GoRock GR2.
Okay.
And I was really excited to get that bag in my hands, and I already tested it for 2 weeks, just for going in the city, but also for a day trip to a motorcycle event. And I was honestly surprised how heavy I do perceive it. I was aware of the fact that it probably is heavier than other bags that I test, and it is much more, in air quotes, substantial in the way it feels and the way it handles. But I wasn't aware, or I was caught by surprises. Again, as I said, it is to be expected due to the way it's built, due to the intention, what you want to use the bag for, like rocking and being a little bit heavy duty. But when I had it in my hand, it looks huge on me. I have the 34-liter version. I was actually intending to get the 40-liter version, but they told me, you're a little bit short. I would recommend to go with the 34 version. And now I see what they meant. Yeah. Because even the 34 version looks huge on my back.
And you're using that for like daily?
because I'm not traveling. It's supposed to be a travel bag, but I'm not traveling.
So, yeah.
So I have to test it differently. So I did use it for this 1 day trip to a motorcycle racetrack, and I walked around with it here at home, but not going to travel anytime soon, unfortunately. So that's the only way I can test it. And from what I experienced is, although, as I said, although it is to be expected and I knew what I was going into, it is much huger and more substantial than I was anticipating, to be quite honest. Especially after reviewing other 30-liter bags like the Able Carry Max, for instance, which has the similar size but is perceivably smaller than the 34-liter Gorok GR2. Do you have the GR2, or do you have experience with the GR2?
I never got a Gorok bag. I was actually thinking about that the other day, that Gorok and Evergoods. I never really got into their stuff.
I would have expected that, at least due to your background from the military, that you at least have gotten in contact with, maybe from your mates at the base or whatever. I'm not sure. I've never been in the military, so I only know the military from movies. So I would have imagined that maybe you talk and, hey, I'm gonna get a new backpack and I bought a Gorok of whatever. I would have imagined that you have gotten at least somewhat in contact with a Gorok product in your career.
Yeah, I reached out to Gorok, but at the time they had told me they weren't doing. They were like, it was a bunch of stuff was sold out on their site, and they were in between, like, reaching out to reviewers, and I never really followed back up. So I never ended up. Yeah.
Now that I think of it, is it true, or is it in? I know that in Germany it is. People who will go to military, they get provided with gear or bags, for instance, but it's not the best, so sometimes they get their own stuff. Is that the same in the US as well?
So my experience when I was in, they gave us bags, and you could switch it out and buy your own if you wanted to, but it had to match a certain criteria. It had to be like a certain color. Had to be a color that blended with the gear we already had.
Of course.
A Gorok bag would have definitely been accepted when I was in a tan one, at least. Yeah.
Okay, but you always had to pay it out of your pocket, and
100%.
So most of you probably have used the stuff that has been provided to you, I assume.
I bought one that was at the store on base. I don't remember what brand it was. It was like some generic military brand, but it just had, remember, it had different organization, and that's why I went for it.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. How long have you been in the military?
I was in from 2012 to 2019.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
7 years. Yeah.
And have you been, what's it called? Have you been going outside? What's it called if you go on a mission to a different country, or have you always been
deployed?
Yeah. Have you ever been deployed?
Technically, I was kind of in Germany, but that's about it.
I remember.
Yeah.
So you've been, in air quotes, I'm not sure how military people see it, but from my perspective as a civilian, I would say you have been fortunate not to be in a hot zone.
I would say fortunate's a good word.
Yeah.
For sure.
That would have been terrible if you would have had to go to a hot zone. Then we maybe wouldn't have gotten to know each other. So it's good that you've never gotten to a critical place, fortunately.
I definitely am not complaining. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right. I don't want to block your time to go to work, but you probably, let's talk more. I don't want to go to work, but I think you need to go to work.
I probably do.
So thank you so much for taking the time. So where can people find you?
So YouTube. I mean, if you want a back catalog of my reviews, it's just the YouTube channel Odie Matthews. But if you want to see where I'm where I'm at nowadays, it's Magnum Nopus. Sounds spelled just how it sounds, Magnum, and then instead of Opus, just Nopus. And then on Instagram at Odie_Matthews.
That's awesome. Oh, by the way, if you ever consider reviewing Magnum PI, I want the avatar to have like what I have at the moment, to have like this little mustache. That
the
would
Tom
be
Selleck
pretty,
stash.
yeah, the Tom Selleck stash with a Hawaiian shirt or something. You'd need to have that avatar if you ever consider reviewing Magnum PI.
I will have to make sure I make a note of that one.
So everyone, don't forget to subscribe to Odie's channel Magnum Nopus. And everyone, thank you so much for listening and watching to this episode. And I see you in the next episode. Thank you very much.